If you've ever sat down to do something important, like send a very important email, record a video, pitch a client, or send some sort of a request to be a speaker at some big show, and you felt this little voice in the back of your head say, "Who do you think you are?" Well, this video is for you, and this video is for me. I have been there more often than I'd like to admit, and honestly, more recently than I care to admit. In this video, I have a conversation with Eduardo Archer. He's an incredible therapist who specializes in working with executives and business owners and high performers in general. And he gives us 7 things that we need to know about imposter syndrome. Not fluff that just makes you feel better about yourself, but actual actionable items that get you unstuck and moving. So before we deal with it, we have to name it. And a lot of times people will just lump imposter syndrome in with just general insecurity, or you're just an insecure person. But if we give a specific name to what somebody is dealing with, then it can allow us to solve it. Imposter syndrome was coined in the year 1978 by somebody writing a paper about how women felt once they hit positions of successful leadership or positions of success. It was kind of just discussing they felt phony being there, likely because of their upbringing, because of what they've been told their whole lives, whatever it was because of their mental narrative. And luckily, when they unlocked that terminology, there was a lot of people that said, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I feel like that." So the terminology has been around for quite some time, and I'm sure the feeling itself has been around even longer. So here's Eddie to give some definitions.
Hello.
Hey, Eddie, how are you?
Hey, Jared. How are you, man?
I'm good, dude. I'm really good. Hey,
Yeah.
I am doing a video right now on YouTube about imposter syndrome, and I was hoping to pick your brain for a few minutes. And obviously, you have saved my life on multiple occasions. Saved my life, saved my marriage, saved you have saved the day so many countless times for me that I couldn't think of anybody better to dialogue a little bit about imposter syndrome. So I was kind of hoping to hear a little bit about it from you, and then maybe just have a back and forth if you're cool with it.
That's perfect. I would be honored to talk through this topic. It's a
Th-
it's a real one, man. And
Yeah.
honestly, Jared, it's a real big issue that I think we as just people don't realize how often this thing pops up, imposter
Yeah.
syndrome.
Yeah, I think
So
people
yeah.
people trivialize it a lot too. So I posted a short literally yesterday, and it got like
Mhm.
1,000 views in a handful of hours because clearly people need to learn about this topic. And the short was imposter syndrome. But the first comment was from this young gal, and she said, "Oh, please, it's just basic insecurity. Why does everything have to be a syndrome? It's so dramatic." What would you say to something like that, generalizing it to say, "Oh, it's just basic insecurity," rather than it being actual imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. And look, I think generally speaking, broad brushstrokes, sure, we could put it in the category of another insecurity. But
Sure.
I mean, here's the critical difference and nuance is that imposter syndrome essentially is the gap between who you believe you are now, and who you think you should be in order to fill a role, to earn the respect, to whatever it might be. There's the perceptive gap, and that gap is critical to other behavioral consequences.
Okay, and that gap is the thing. Studies are showing that you could be losing up to $3,400 per person annually simply from people struggling with their productivity and struggling with their ability to identify well while they're working. 71% of CEOs struggle with it, and 85% of people never actually talk about it publicly. I think the thing for me is understanding that it is not just a feelings problem, but it's actually also a performance problem, that my inability to address how I feel about myself is directly impacting our company's bottom line was an absolute game changer for me. When I first started meeting with Eddie to talk about this or to deal with my imposter syndrome, I immediately started seeing business performance increase. Not only personal relationship increases and maybe just better self love and self talk, but even business performance increases immediately because I wasn't afraid to do the things that I didn't think I was worthy of anymore. It was very, very powerful.
Here's the thing that I've noticed is people enter this place that where they're at this position that they've earned, and there's something in them, this creep, this trigger, this internal voice that says, "Hey, now you have to earn it." You
Mm.
know, like I've got this promotion, I've started this business, I've earned this house, right? I've arrived at this place, and for some reason, my context, my environment, whatever's happening, it invokes in me this feeling that now I really got to earn it. Now I really
Mm.
have to do something to prove I deserve this place that I've earned.
So, what does it actually look like in real life, maybe in your life or in my life? I know for me personally, it will typically come in the phase of me looking up very intently towards people and idolizing them and saying, like, oh, I could never be that. So, I have this subliminal shift where I'm kind of pushing myself down so that I don't hit the tiers of success that those other people are at because I inherently, for some reason, won't believe that I deserve it. And so, here's Eddie talking about that trigger moment.
Is there a place, is there a balance between that where it's like, somebody takes a chance on you? And I can think back to, I can think back a few weeks ago. I had the awesome pleasure of speaking on the same stage as Gary Vee, and the owner
Mhm.
of that conference. When they had me on the phone, I mean, everybody else, and I guess maybe this this is a mini therapy session. I Everybody else that was on that panel, or on the lineup, they were legends in this industry. I mean, these rich 10-year, 20-year careers in aesthetic medicine that everyone and their mother looks up to. And then they had Jared Rohrer, who's kind of a young buck who's new in the industry. And some people know, some people don't. And when I was on with the owner, I was just saying, hey, I gotta tell you, I am so unbelievably grateful that you would ask me to do this. And he said, Jared, I know you're going to do great. I said, I'm going to make you proud. I'm going to make sure that you have full confidence that you made the right decision. So when I went into that engagement, I felt the pressure of, they have extended this risk to me of
Mhm.
pre-believing in my capabilities. And then I had this pressure on myself of, I need to over deliver on my performance that day so that they know without a doubt that was an excellent selection for that slot. So my question, I guess, is there balance there of maybe not feeling like an imposter, but maybe feeling like, hey, if you're going to believe in me this much, I'm going to show you that it's worth it.
Mhm. Yeah, look, I think what you're describing is like the initial internal kind of like reflex of
Hmm.
being that moment. But perceptionally, I think what you're really highlighting is kind of a cognitive distortion, is a perceptional lie, which is the idea that Gary Vee and whoever these other big rollers are are gods among
Mm.
this environment. Like they are impervious. They have done things and have earned this way more than I have, and they're infallible, and they know everything about what they're doing. When in fact the truth is, if you really zoomed into the details of their world, you realize that they actually don't know what they're doing.
Mm.
And I think that's a general truth, Jared, that I carry about just about every high level human performative interaction, is the fact that the person I'm standing across the table with, negotiating with, or just kind of trying to navigate, that they actually don't really know what they're doing.
Okay, I didn't expect that to happen when we were having the phone call that I was actively experiencing imposter syndrome. And there's probably, and I was, in that conversation with Eddie, there's probably some level of balance of me just being excited, but there's also a level of me feeling like I don't belong, that I had to deal with. And especially even in that moment, Eddie's just like, Jared, they're just like you. They're just like you. They're just like you. Everybody is guessing. And we're all doing this for the very first time. Some of us have some slightly more educated guesses, but we're all doing this for the first time being humans. And the point isn't that experience doesn't matter. The point is that nobody has it all figured out. And waiting until you've got it all figured out to take action is not a strategy. So if the goal isn't necessarily to feel ready, what is it? Eddie, in the next moment, gives us one of the cleanest definitions of confidence I think that I've ever heard.
Here's my definition of confidence, by the way, Jared, which is very important. Confidence is presence without apology, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's my ability to and say I'm here and I'm not going to apologize about it. My ability
Mm.
to say like this is the way I flow and this is kind of how I want to organize and do things and approach it. I'm not going to apologize about it. Right? This is the way I like to feel connected, and I'm not going to apologize.
That made me reflect a lot. Presence without apology made me reflect a lot on how often I approach a conversation and I'm clearly just trying to sell somebody on me because I'm just trying to prove to them that I'm worth their time, whether that's an actual sale or whether that's a new friend. Or I'll walk into a room and intentionally kind of back off a little bit from the noise that's happening in the room because I feel like, oh, there's other people who like that. That's the person who deserves the spotlight, which is wild that I think that. And that's not even real humility. That's just apology. And it's hurting me. Presence without apology means I'm here. I don't know everything. I'm in the learning curve and I'm not going to apologize about that. All right. So practically, what does that look like? Here's kind of Eddie's take on how to address it.
To actively address imposter syndrome within an
Mhm.
individual, is it awareness? Is it okay, is it just reminding ourselves, or is there some sort of daily practice for individuals to be able to kind of actively identify and give themselves that permission to
Mhm.
to have presence without apology?
Yeah. Look, I would say the first and biggest step is always awareness. If you know what you're up against, it gives you tools to know how to engage it.
This is something that might sound obvious, awareness and just realize that that's what you're struggling with. But uh, it's very often that I'll hear people trivialize therapy. I'll hear people trivialize imposter syndrome and say, "Oh, it's just whatever. You just need to buck up. You don't need a therapist. You don't have imposter syndrome. You don't struggle with XYZ." And oftentimes those people are probably just struggling with whatever that whatever that thing is as well. And by you addressing it in yourself, it's kind of calling it out in them, which makes them very uncomfortable. So naming it doesn't necessarily solve it. It just changes your relationship to it. It just makes it so that now you understand what you're up against. Now you understand what that trigger is that is activating while you're feeling some kind of way about a new opportunity.
Imposter syndrome is a monster. It's a very scary thing, but you need to learn to dance with it.
Mm.
Right? When you're dancing, you're taking cues from your partner. You're learning like when do I need to push back, and get away from it? When do I need to lean in and learn from it? Like what's the rhythm? What's the pace? Maybe I give myself some space to breathe in the beginning. Maybe after I've had a moment with this thing, I know that I need to journal. And so is this
Yeah.
is this movement and me learning how, okay, this thing is real. I'm aware of it, but I'm going to learn to dance with it because that's a key thing. Imposter syndrome is literally just intelligence. It's trying to give you a packet of understanding yourself, maybe understanding the environment that you're in. It's trying to give you intelligence
Mm.
on what you're navigating, and hopefully giving you options on how you will choose to navigate it.
I think the way that he just reframed that is everything because it's very often that we try to punish ourselves into a position where we have gotten rid of whatever we're struggling with entirely. Whether it's imposter syndrome, whether it's general insecurity, whatever it is, we try to punish ourselves or beat it right out of ourselves. And what Eddie's saying is you just need to dance with it. It's information. It's not necessarily it's a signal that your body is sending you that you're struggling with something or that you feel something. And rather than punishing yourself for feeling it, you can be aware of it and use it as an activator to make better decisions for yourself. Think you wouldn't try to make it so that your body can never bleed again. You would just try to address the bleed when it happens because it's informing you about what's actually happening with your body. So when it shows up, instead of shutting down, instead of providing resistance against whatever that thing is, maybe just ask yourself, okay, what do I need to learn here? What do I need to be aware of here? Learning your psyche's signals that it's sending you is going to be something that is going to send you into the stratosphere of success. Not resisting the signals that your psyche is sending you is going to send you into the stratosphere of success. Because I can't tell you how many times there are very specific signals that I will get from my brain that historically I would take it as a sign that I shouldn't be doing the thing that I'm doing. And instead, when I started to learn to lean into it and to be informed by it, our business size would double or our income would double. Our life would take a very dramatic turn for the better when I would lean into those pain points that my psyche was sending back at me. I think that permission to be where you are and be who you are, not a fake it till you make it, not this peacock that you're trying to prove something to everybody else, but permission to be where you are and who you are could be the differentiator for you in that next level that you need to hit. I know it's been very consistently the differentiator for me in hitting my next levels. And then Eddie said something excellent at the end of our conversation as well that I keep coming back to. So check this out.
I know that on one end, it feels like imposter syndrome is using us and it falls on us and it's like heavy. But I think we reflexively sometimes invoke and bring on imposter syndrome because it
Mm,
protects us. It protects us from feeling for mortality.
yeah,
It
risk.
protects us from, yeah, risk, from having to engage this thing and realizing, yo, you know what, I'm not actually the best at it right now,
Yeah.
or I'm going to make mistakes, or I did make mistakes and I'm grieving it now. And I think sometimes we without realizing it, we invoke it.
This is one that people need to get really honest with themselves about, because it's very often that whatever we struggle with mentally or whatever we've struggled with in our life, we'll adopt it as our identity in business. I'm just not successful. Everything that I try always fails. And we'll adopt those identities. And unfortunately, when we threaten those identities with success, we will unknowingly sabotage ourselves in order to keep ourselves there. So same thing with imposter syndrome. Oh, I just have imposter syndrome. I am just imposter syndrome. And we take it on as our identity. And at some point, that imposter syndrome becomes your blankie, becomes your protection from actually having to try something new and risk being bad at something. And that's happened to me hundreds and hundreds of times in my career. And I think Eddie's challenge is perfect.
And my encouragement to everybody is like every day, make a decision to expand, to grow, right? And resist at least one decision that would ask you to be smaller.
And so here's what I've gotten out of this as a key opinion leader, as a business owner, is I have sent cold emails to conferences that I wanted to speak for and gotten a yes. I sent cold emails to companies I wanted to speak on behalf of and gotten a yes. I have put myself out there on the line and suggested that I work with certain people, and I've gotten a yes. Oftentimes, I don't give myself credit for who I am, and I think you probably don't give yourself credit for who you are as well. So it's important to name it, dance with it, show up without apology, and resist one decision. Resist one decision that's being influenced by your imposter syndrome today. If you want to work with Eddie, go to eduardoarcher.com/coaching. Not a sponsor in any way. I don't even know if I'll ever do a sponsorship on this channel. I'd rather just keep everything very unbiased and very trustworthy for you all. And Eddie has changed my life on multiple occasions. And I cannot advocate enough that you should absolutely see him if you are even considering, if you're in any kind of struggle right now. Eddie can help solve it. He has given me more clarity than I know what to do with, if I'm honest, and has changed my life. So I would highly advocate that you go have a conversation with him if you are struggling in any way as an executive, business owner, or somebody that's kind of in a high octane work situation. Eddie is going to be an incredible resource for you. And the coolest thing about him, his goal is not to keep you coming back. His goal is to help get you to a place of health, which I think is very rare. Between my wife and I, we've seen plenty of therapists in our life, and all of them except Eddie so far have just kind of kept you on the hook. Let's meet again next week. Let's talk again next week. And Eddie has given us real practical solutions that have solved things. And there's been times where I haven't talked to him for months, because he helped heal me. So if this video helped you, please subscribe. Send it to somebody who you think is struggling with imposter syndrome. Send it to a business owner who just feels like, man, they just can't hit that next level. Maybe there's this limiting belief that is stopping them from getting to the next level, of them just getting honest with who they are and knowing that who they are is already good enough to get to that next level. Give me a comment below if you have any thoughts. I would love to hear it. Make sure you're giving the channel a subscribe, like this video, and we'll see you in the next one.